Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing another album review, and I'm going to be doing a review of the album South of Heaven by Slayer. Okay, so actually there are two albums that that arrived today that I will be reviewing this one today, and then the other one tomorrow, and then I have a whole bunch of albums coming. Throughout a whole bunch of albums that'll be arriving throughout the month of August, so expect a bunch of album reviews then. But anyway, so yeah, South of Heaven by Slayer. This was released in 1988, the last of their 80s albums. Oh, and I forgot to mention in another video, Slayer was originally under the record label Metal Blade for the first couple of albums, and then they switched to, at the time, was a record company called American Records. They're called something else now, but I forgot what they're called now, but they were originally called American Records. But this is the second album to be under that record label. Their albums with Metal Blade were Show No Mercy, the Haunting the Chapel EP, the Live Undead Live album, and their second album, Hell Awaits. And then they swapped record labels. They went again American Recordings for quite some time. They started that with their album Rain in Blood, and continued with this album. Oh yeah, the artwork. So this artwork is pretty different compared to most of their 80s stuff. It's kind of the same kind of style as with the artwork for Rain in Blood. How it looks less plain 2D imagery and looks more like an actual painting. You can see there's a lot of texture on it and makes it look like an actual painting. They continued that style of artwork with their albums for Seasons in the Abyss. But yeah, the artwork's pretty cool. It's like a big giant skull, and then there's like animals inside the eye sockets, and then there's like a sort of a river of blood underneath there, and behind the skull is a giant broken cross, and then also behind the skull is like almost like a two different cathedrals, but they're like all covered in blood. And then the Slayer logo is up there in the corner with the pentagram behind it. And of course the stupid parental advisory thing that thankfully they don't have on albums anymore because it's very annoying to look at when you're trying to actually appreciate the album artwork. Anyway, and then on the back there's the picture of the band. There we go. Alright. So this album starts off, first track is South of Heaven, the title track, and it's very interesting because it's kind of, in a way, a continuation of the last song on their other album that came before this, the last song, Raining Blood, from their album Rain in Blood. Because the riff on this song, the main riff on this album, on this song, on the title track, is a slowed down version of the riff from the song Raining Blood. So that's just kind of cool. It's sort of a continuation. But yeah, overall it's a slower Slayer song compared to most others. I mean, overall this album is slower compared to most other Slayer albums. Tom Araya does, I guess, his style of vocals that he would do from like this album all the way into the 90s and through the 90s, where it's not his rough kind of vocals, but also not his shrieky vocals. He does sort of a not quite clean regular style vocals, but it's sort of an in between. I don't know. They're pretty good. Those style vocals are pretty good that he does on this album. But yeah, South of Heaven, the title track, is awesome. The second song, Silent Scream, is very I don't know. It just sounds like a very generic Slayer song, kind of like 99% of Rain in Blood. Again, the only song I like from this album, Rain in Blood, is the song Raining Blood. But yeah, this song, Silent Screams, kind of sounds like the rest of those very boring, very kind of those kind of songs on that album. But yeah, it's not a very good song. Track number 3, though, Live Undead, not to be confused with the live album Live Undead. This song is really good. It's slightly faster paced than South of Heaven and Silent Scream. It's really good. It has a very memorable riff. Tom Araya does a good job. Yeah, that's a pretty good song. I love it. Track number 4, Behind the Crooked Cross, is my favorite track from the album. And when I first heard it, I was blown away because, so sidetracking a little bit. For those of you who know and love the first 2 Doom games, and more specifically the first one, you would know that a lot of the soundtrack was based off of guitar riffs from a lot of thrash bands such as Megadeth, Metallica, a couple others, and of course Slayer. So, of course, the very first part of the soundtrack you hear on the very first level of the original Doom is the main riff to Behind the Crooked Cross. Yeah, that's awesome. So every time I play Doom now, I'm gonna be thinking of this song, and every time I listen to the song, I'm gonna be thinking of Doom. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's just a great song overall and very iconic. I love it. Track number 5, Mandatory Suicide, is pretty cool. I especially love the the end section where Tom Araya goes in this really sort of ominous sort of he does this really ominous sort of like monologue, and then like his voice is not really singing but not really talking as well. He sort of like he sounds like he's like hypnotized almost. Like it's very like very non like a very emotionless sort of monologue. Like he's like either he's possessed or he's hypnotized. But yeah, it's really creepy and I love it. No, track number 6, Ghosts of War. Okay, so I've listened to this album twice now, and originally the first time I listened to it, I didn't like the song, but the second time around, I actually do kind of like it. I especially like the ending part. The mid to end section is pretty cool. Track number 7, Read Between the Lies, is very a generic sounding song, just like Silent Scream. Let's see. Track number 8, Cleanse the Soul, same thing, very generic sounding, at least in terms of Slayer songs. Track number 9, though, I really like. It's a cover song. It's a cover of the Judas Priest song Dissident Aggressor, from Judas Priest's album Sin After Sin. Yeah, I have stated before that I don't like 70s music and I don't like Judas Priest albums from the 70s, but there are a few songs from Sin After Sin that I do like, and Dissident Aggressor happens to be one of them. But yeah, I mean, even though I do enjoy the original version, I actually like this version more. But yeah, it's really good. It's a really good cover. Track number 10, Spill the Blood. Again, very generic sounding, just like, Cleanse the Soul, Read Between the Lies, and Silent Scream. But yeah, so overall, I'm gonna rate this album, an 8 out of 10. It's really good. Definitely better than Rain in Blood, which I do not like, other than that last song, Raining Blood. But yeah, this is just a way better album overall. So yeah, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. So that's it for this review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.